Aimsy here of Aimsy's Antics. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're well today because I have another beauty DIY for you today. It's been a while since I have featured any bath bomb recipes up onto this channel, so I thought I would have a go at making some DIY crystal bath bombs today for you. And these are basically half bath bomb, half bath salt merged together to create beautiful rose quartz inspired geode type crystals, and are just beautiful to give away as gifts or keep all to yourself. So if you would like to see how to make DIY crystal bath bombs, then let's get crafting. To make the Geode crystal bath bombs, you are going to need the following items. I will put all the measurements up on the screen, but you will need for the base some bicarbonate of soda, citric acid, cornstarch, Epsom salt, coconut oil, fragrance oil, which mine is a Rose Turkish Delight, and some polysorbate 80, not forgetting some mica colorant or soap colorant, as well as some isopropyl alcohol, which is 99%. And then for the crystal part, you will need some more salt, so Epsom salt, Dead Sea salt, and some pink Himalayan salt. The first thing to do is add some bicarbonate of soda to a large mixing bowl, and you're going to need 1 cup worth of this, or roughly 128 grams, placing this through a sieve to sift out any lumps and bumps that may be in it. And then the next thing to add is half a cup of cornstarch or corn flour, which roughly measures at 64 grams worth. Again, putting this through the sieve to get rid of any lumps and bumps. Next, it is time to add in some Epsom salts, and we are going to add 3 tablespoons worth here, and that equates to roughly 51 grams, and then mixing these all together until they are fully combined, and setting this aside to move on to the next part of the bath bomb recipe. As I want to make a rose quartz type geode bath bomb here, I am using a few different shades of pink to that base to give it that nice pink quality to the pink quartz, obviously. So I am using mica powder here in various shades of pink, but you can also use soap dye for this. I wouldn't advise using food colourant because I don't think it does colour it that well, and it does cause some staining, whereas this is designed to be in the beauty product. So add whatever mica or soap colourant you want till you get the right shade that you desire. Next, we are going to add some coconut oil to a microwave safe jug, and this is 1 tablespoon worth of coconut oil, or roughly 17 grams, adding it to that microwave jug and heating it on 30-second intervals until it is fully melted. Then it's time to add in 3 milliliters of the chosen fragrance oil, and mine is a Turkish Delight rose one, and I will link down below where I purchased this because it smells absolutely divine. And I like to use a pipette to measure this out and add it into that coconut oil. Now we're only adding 3 milliliters to make it skin safe, because that's 1% of the total weightage of the recipe, if that makes sense. And then the next thing to add in is some polysorbate 80, and you want to add in half a tablespoon of this, or roughly 8.5 grams. And what this does is help disperse that oil, fragrance oil, and the colourant through the bath water to help it not stick to the sides of the bath, hopefully, and just immerse it through that water. Give this all a good mix together, and you will see that it does go slightly cloudy, which means that the polysorbate is binding together with that oil. And then it is time to start adding in that melted coconut oil and fragrance blend to the dry ingredients. So add this in a little bit at a time, using the whisk to mix this in. Now luckily there's no citric acid in this, so it shouldn't start fizzing just yet, but make sure that you are whisking it fast when you are adding it in. Keep going until it is all incorporated, and you should have a bit more of a damper consistency to your mix. Now you want to keep checking the consistency of the mix, and you want it to start clumping together and feeling like damp sand. However, the coconut alone won't do this, so we're going to add something else in a bit later on. But first, what we need to then add in is a final dry ingredient of citric acid, and you are going to need half a cup of this, or 64 grams. Again, passing it through that sieve, and we are adding it in last to reduce the amount of chance that it will react, because if you add it in before, when you start adding in that oil, it can react and start fizzing, meaning that your bath bomb isn't going to fizz at the end. So mix this in thoroughly, and then again test the consistency, and it probably isn't that damp sand consistency that you want. It will clump together a bit, but not fully to hold its shape. That is where this isopropyl alcohol, I never can say that, or rubbing alcohol comes in, and you want to place it in a bottle with a spray attachment and just spray a few times with this, once or twice at a time, mixing it in with that whisk, and then it should start clumping together a little bit more. Now you don't want it too wet, so keep playing about until it does feel like that wet sand, and when you know it is ready, you can hold the mixture in your hand and it will hold its shape, and you can throw it about from side to side and it should maintain that shape without losing much of the mixture, if that makes sense, and I will show you that in a little minute, I believe. So once your mixture is ready, you then want to start using a bath bomb mold, and we're only using 1/2 of this, and then just liberally filling this up loosely so that it all bunches on top, and using the other half of the bath bomb mold to push an indent into the middle and help the mixture bind together. Now you're going to have to apply quite a lot of pressure with this and pad it down at the side. It's not going to be as stable as normal bath bombs because you are not bringing the two halves together. But once you have sort of got it firmly in that the mold, you then want to tap it and release it, and as you can see there is a little bit of fallout, but this doesn't matter because geodes and crystals are not perfect, so this really adds to the look of that geode crystal bath bomb. Then you want to allow the bath bombs to dry and harden for at least 24 hours. However, I left mine for about 2 to 3 days to make sure they were rock solid. And then it's time to make that crystal topping. So whilst these are drying, you want to make your salt topping. So in a bowl, you want to place in 2 tablespoons of Epsom salts, and then in a separate bowl, add in 2 tablespoons of dead sea salt. And what we're going to do is colour these to represent the different shades of the colour. So using some polysorbate 80, we're using a 1/4 teaspoon here, which is roughly 1.42 grams worth, and adding it into the 2 bowls of salt and mixing this in really well until it is all combined. And we're using this because it's going to help the colour stick to the salt as well as disperse through that bath water. And then it is time to start adding in some mica colorant or soap colorant if you are using that to the different batches of salt. And we're going to make the dead sea salts a paler pink here, and then the Epsom salts are going to be a bit of a darker pink because geodes have lots of different shades to them, whatever they are. If they're an amethyst, it's lots of different shades of purple, and then the pink, lots of different shades of pink and like white or off-white. I will put a inspiration picture up here, what I was sort of trying to emulate when making these bath bombs. So add in various different colours and shades of that pink, and I think I do end up adding in a bit of a rose gold mica. Yes, I do, just to give it a bit of a sparkle and a bit of that coppery tone to the pink, and I think it turns out really well. So what you want to do is keep mixing this together, and it should stick to the salts really well. If it doesn't, maybe use a little bit of that rubbing alcohol to help liquidize it a little bit and help it all bind together. And when you're happy with the shades of the colours that you are using, place them into some dishes with some cling film to stop them sticking to the bowl, makes them easier to remove, and allow to dry for a few days until they are needed on the bath bomb. Once it has been a few days and the bath bombs and salts are dry, it is time to make the glue to stick the salts to the bath bomb and decorate them up. So what you're going to need is some cocoa butter that we're going to melt down, polysorbate 80 again, and some isopropyl alcohol, as well as mica powders and some brushes, because we're going to colour the outside of the bath bombs in some beautiful mica, and the cocoa butter is going to help stick them salts to the top. So what you first want to do is paint the bath bombs, and I have gone for this really nice rose gold that I use a little bit in the salts. Place a little bit of this into a little container and then add in some of that rubbing alcohol, and this will turn it into a little bit of a paint. And what is really good with this, the alcohol will evaporate on the surface of the bath bomb, so it shouldn't cause any fizzing, which is perfect because you still want your bath bombs to fizz. So you want to water it down until you get a bit of consistency like this, and then just use a paintbrush, to a clean paintbrush mind you, to then paint this onto the outside of the bath bombs. And it doesn't really matter if you do this neatly or not, because all geodes are different, and if you look at rocks they have different shading to the outside of them. So just paint these how you like with that mica paint. And whilst the mica paint is drying, you then want to add in around a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of cocoa butter, melting it in the microwave on 30-second bursts until it is fully melted. And to this we are then going to add in some polysorbate 80 again, because this is going to help that oil disperse through. And I think I added in a 1/4 teaspoon of polysorbate 80 here, which again is about 1.42 grams, mixing this in thoroughly. Now, because we are using a denser butter, the bath bombs may not fizz as you would expect when they do go in the bath, but they do give a lovely nourishing feeling to the bath. So what you want to do is place some of this melted butter and polysorbate mixture onto the dip part of that bath bomb and sort of swirl this around to coat it. And once you have a nice layer of this, you then want to begin adding in some of those coloured salts. Now I have the 3 bowls here, and I did forget to mention that one of them is just a pink Himalayan salt. But first you want to add in the darker coloured salt to the middle of the bath bomb, because traditionally I think in geodes, although they do form differently, you have the darker colour on the centre and then it gets lighter on the outside, I believe. So add this in until you feel you have enough, and then add on some of that lighter shade on the outside, finishing with that pink Himalayan salt on the very outside. Then just drizzle over a little bit more of that oil to help set it all in place, and add any little bit more that maybe you feel like it needs it. And finally, just to give the bath bombs a little bit of extra pizzazz and a bit of something else, I've just used a little bit of gold mica, watered it down with that alcohol, and just dotted this around the outside of the top edge of the bath bomb, as well as a little bit on the salt, just to give it a fleck of gold throughout it. Then you just want to let these dry and make sure that the butters have hardened before using them in the baths, and the Geode crystal bath bombs are complete.
Just hold tight, we're up at the moonlight, believe in the magic. On side, we'll make it feel just right. Just look at that bright light, believe in the magic. And we can save you from your past. This bond is always gonna last. When nothing else makes sense, just dance.
They have how to make DIY crystal bath bombs, perfect for adding a bit of crystal magic to your bath or giving away as gifts to loved ones and friends who also love a good bath bomb. Now these have turned out fabulous. They're really easy to make, if not just a little bit fiddlier than a regular bath bomb, and takes a little bit longer, but the process and the outcome is just stunning. I mean, I think these really do emulate that rose crystal geode look to them, and I love them. So let me know what you think in them comments below, and whether you'll be giving this DIY a go. And if you do end up giving any of my DIYs a go, I would love to see your outcomes, so you can post them in the comments here, or I'm over on Twitter and Instagram if you want to tweet or tag me in anything that you create. I would love to see them. And if you enjoyed the video, then please do give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are not already subscribed, as well as hitting that notification bell to keep up with all of my creative and crafty antics. I also have a blog, Aimsy's Antics, which is linked below and up above if you want to check out the blog for more information on all DIYs on the channel. There's usually a lot more information over in the blog. And with that said, I will see you in next week's video, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and week, and I will see you next time. Bye!